And good morning, everyone, and thank you, Lily, and thank you, everyone, for listening here on WEKR and WYTM. I'm Don Counts with Fayetteville Public Utilities, and we have our CEO, General Manager, Britt. Britt, it has been a busy, busy week.
It has been a busy week. I'm still cleaning up from last week and the week before, last 2.5 weeks. Actually, the temperatures dropped real low, so the bills are going to be up.
Yep, and that's pretty much basically how it works when it's really, really cold, especially for this length of time. You will definitely see it in the bill because your energy use is going to be up to keep the house warm.
That's correct, and right now we are in the winter rates is passed down via TVA, and so the rate's the same on energy. Now, TVA does pass through a fuel cost adjustment, that we have to add that comes from TVA. So that might change a little bit, but the energy rate is still the same.
If we turn on the hands of time back a week, we knew the winter storm was predicted, and the weather people were correct, but we were started preparing. We prepare anyway. In this case, being prepared was right on because we had a lot to do.
Well, we try to be prepared as best we can, but you can't have everything planned for every contingency that you try to do of what might happen. Just like we had a piece of equipment failure inside the Blanche substation, and that was one of our outages for several minutes that we had people out. But then we had one out at Park City that was trees, And then after the ice starts melting, the trees go to flopping and the branches get in the lines, and you try to have everything in the clear, but sometimes it don't end up that way. So we had some more power outages due to that. All in all, we had over 4,000 customers out, but not at one time. The biggest outage was the one we had at Blanche and the one at Park City. Actually happened somewhere about the same time. So that was our largest outage at one time of having a little over 1,000 customers out.
Well, I don't know what night it was, but when it started to snow, it came down and hit the ground and stayed on the ground.
Yes, it did. That's one of the best snows I've seen in a long time. I was hoping it was going to keep snowing. So,
Yeah, the first snow was a little bit of floating snow, but this snow came down and landed, and then no telling how many hours you worked and all the crews here and all the staff here worked over the week. But there's a lot goes on in emergency operations like we were there to keep the power on the best we can.
That's correct, Don. We only work 16 hours unless we like a little bit finishing up for somebody, but 16 hours is our max. To some degree, you've got to have 6 hours rest. It's amazing, when you start working those long hours like that, you don't think, and you get impatient with things. You take shortcuts. You get people hurt, and all these hours we did work, we didn't get anybody hurt, and we were blessed.
Well, each day when we met with the crews, you met with the crews to talk to them about that exact same thing, about being safe, taking care of them. In this situation, the public might not realize when you work in 16 hours, we have to take care of them. We got to get them food and make sure that they're being protected and taking care of themselves as well.
Yes, we do. And, a lot of things were closed where you couldn't get them food like we have been running out in the field and those kinds of things. So we had to have them to come in to eat, and the ladies around here fix their food and their meals to give them something to eat, and I thank them for that. But at the same time, if you're working on a sunny day and you're working 16 hours, it's totally different than working 16 hours and you got ice and limbs and everything else breaking around you, and you have to be careful about what you do, pay attention to everything that's going on. And when you start getting tired and you get in that comfort zone, you don't look out for each other like we need to, but we did, and that's our goal, to look out and take care of one another.
One thing too that you all had to deal with being outside was the extreme cold temperatures. No matter how much clothes you got on, at some point that cold weather is going to get down to the skin.
Yeah, it's great. I told I worked with Lewis some, I worked with Mike some, and I told them, I said, I don't know if you can get enough clothes on, especially when that wind starts blowing, and you get out there in it, and it's just miserable.
Yeah, and we were very fortunate. The system held up very well to keep the power on as well as we did. And I know the public in general, and we tried to get on the radio as often as we could to let people know, or to assure them, to reassure them that we're ready and doing the best we can. And but a lot of people were pretty concerned about losing power.
Yeah, the ice storm that hit us back in 94 and 98, and, it really took a toll on us. And ever since then and a little before then, we've been doing a lot of system upgrades. We've been putting in a lot of different tie lines, redundancy, and we're still continuing doing that as today. And it's helped us out tremendously to be able to swap, move loads, and those kinds of things. And we keep improving the infrastructure. You got to, because we don't want to end up in a situation like Texas.
Yeah, that's true. Now, they definitely have it rough down there, and we're trying to stay ahead of that curve. When you think about one of the things that we talk about here a lot is tree trimming. We have to have an aggressive tree trimming program, and if the public don't understand that now, after looking back just a week at how the snow and the ice really weighted down the trees and caused a lot of problems. Fortunately, our system held up well because of that aggressive tree trimming program.
That is true, and we've had a lot of customers that we've been to here in the past couple of 3 weeks. It's when your power goes out and all the trees are laying on the line, you can't even see the line that's all tore down. It's easy to get a right-of-way cut. They want them trees cut, but you hate to wait to a time when it's done like this that you had to cut them. Where before, if we can get all the permission, we try to be show common courtesy, about getting things done. But customers going to have to let us cut them right away, so we're going to have bad problems.
Oh yeah, we have to. It would be better if we did it during the summer or during some other time, as you said. However, a lot of people don't want their trees cut, but this is a prime example of why we have got to get the trees away from the lines, because in a situation like this, they're going to lean right into the power line and then cut the power off.
That is correct. You could be 10 foot out, the power line, thinking it's clear, but based on what kind of tree it is, when you get ice on it, those things are going to be coming over, I'm telling you. And, it's hard to get permission sometimes, but we got to cut it. We got 15 foot on each side of that line, and, we're going to get very, very aggressive, and we're going to have to cut them. We try to ask folks don't plant trees under the power lines, but there's a lot of locations you go and you'll see 15, 20 trees planted right up under the power line, and, we got to keep them cut.
And this spring, there'll be a lot of trees planted. When they plant a twig about this high and then turn around and just a few years down the road, that tree is going to grow right up into the power line. And you might not think you might think you're away from it, but it don't take long for it to get up.
No, it don't. It's not only ice. If you have a good windstorm, or if you have they're calling about 2 or 3 inches of rain, and if you already look at how the ground is right now, then when you start having some wind and 2 or 3 more inches of rain, the trees are going to uproot, and because some of them are already damaged from the ice that we just had that are leaning, and we'll be having problems again.
With the sloppiness of the ground right now and the infrastructure underground, I noticed this morning you talked to some of the guys about what the potential problems that could cause.
Yes, and it could uproot and everything else if you plant something close and jerk the, if you got underground utilities, it could bring it up out of the ground, and we're trying to prevent, preventive maintenance is a big thing, and that's what we try to maintain is preventive maintenance. But we can't get all through the county every year, so it takes about 4 to 5 years to get around the county. And you got we're pushing right at close to 2,000 miles of line now. Several more homes that's being built, several more taps that's being built, and we're glad of that. We want that, but at the same time, we got to keep an aggressive tree trimming program.
Let's talk about the other utilities. Water seemed to hold up well. When you're talking about temperatures down into the teens, that's definitely a concern in the water department of water freezing.
It is, and we try to, knowing something's coming in, we try to keep all the tanks full, to be sure in case something didn't work, we're at least full of water. And we'll try to maintain that the best that we can, but at the same time, the water with the temperatures warming now, when it gets real cold, you worry about freezing pipes bursting, but now the temperature is getting warm, up to 65 degrees, and it's like myself and Clint was talking this morning, how many leaks do we expect with the warming of the weather? So time will tell.
Because you're saying the ground's going to be moving with the amount of liquid in the ground.
That is correct.
One thing that as we move over to talk about gas, our gas system held up well. As you mentioned, Texas, that was one of their big problems is natural gas.
It was natural gas and solar, and, the whole story hasn't come out yet. I know they got FERC involved. FERC has to get involved because when you
now what's PERC?
The Electric Reliability Council.
Gotcha.
Federal.
Yeah.
So, you know, when you get FERC and NERC involved and you're looking at an investigation going on, they'll say, well, why is FERC and NERC involved? It's private. But anytime that it can affect the grid, they get involved.
Sure. And we can find out how vulnerable the grid is in a situation like down in Texas. And we don't want that to happen here. And we're very fortunate that we're have an aggressive program to keep our system up and moving forward. And that's a really, really good thing. But on the gas side, you know, there's a lot of people using gas. I'm sure during this time, there was a few of the factories down, which actually helped helped our grid across the board.
That is correct. You know, we have a lot of people who use a lot of gas, and we're glad to have it available as well. But, you know, sometimes when that load starts picking up, we have to curtail just like we have to do on the electric side.
Mm-hmm. Well, when you talk about these emergency operations that we have had the past week, we're also still dealing with COVID every day. So we've had to protect each other and take care of each other in that situation. But we've also reopened the lobbies this past week.
The lobbies are reopened, and we'll try it again and, you know, see what happens with the COVID issues. And, you know, it might be where we have to close again. But right now we are open. We're trying to use all safety precautions. We're trying to be sure that everything's cleaned every day. And if customers come in, if you would take that into consideration when you're meeting with a customer service rep and those kinds of things. And we're going to be masked up while we meet with customers. So just try to be careful as you can be and protect one another.
Yep. Well, let's talk about something else that we're working on here is fiber. How well did fiber hold up with ice hanging on those lines? Because, you know, it's just a glass line there.
Well, I know when I went down Highway 110, we was riding down through there. I didn't know how it was going to stay up because it was on the ground. I mean, it stretches. You know, it was way down low. And we was doing everything we can to, you know, to get it back up in there. But it's going to stretch. I mean, that's what happens to keep it from breaking. It'll stretch, and it did stretch.
Wow.
But we have power lines doing the same thing, you know, especially on our copper lines when the ice built around it, you know, they're stretching and hanging pretty low too. So we had to be sure that we had all that scoped out, knowing what we was going to have to do in case of emergency if something did start falling.
I know this makes you proud, and the public might not understand where they're not, but there is a lot of fiber being installed throughout our county every day, even through the weekend. I think they worked because of the bad weather. We're continuing to build fiber as fast as we can to as many homes as we can, and right now they're being built, I guess, down toward Malina now.
Yeah, they're down in the southwest part of the county, and where we actually are building the fibers in the grant areas. And, you know, if we can get some more grant funds from the Governor Lee, and I know they provided money for that, but now how do you apply for it? And we haven't seen any of that information come out yet. I would expect it to come out at any time, and then we'll expand as much as we can. But without the grant funds, we cannot afford to build it.
We've got it built up to Petersburg area and down toward Unity School, so those are actually being, I guess, installed maybe?
They're being installed, and we've got several customers installed in that new build area. And like I said, when we get everything spliced down on the southwest part of the county, we'll start hooking those customers up, because I think y'all have hung just about all the doors, or you have hung all the doors. Yep. You know, let them know, you know, what's available.
Yep. So what's happening is we're letting the public know, going to each house and putting a bag of information on the door to let you know what's happening. A company called Heritage is actually building the fiber through I guess they're contractors, correct?
They're contractors, that's correct.
And so they're building the fiber, and then we will do the final install. So this is good news for all the people, and you are continuing every day. You and your staff are working hard to make sure if there's any other grant opportunities, we want to try to take that opportunity.
That we are, and you know, you got to remember these are only in the areas that are unserved and underserved. You know, if you got the capabilities of having internet, broadband, you know, at this point in time, you will not fit in those areas, and that's the rules that came down by the state. That's not an FPU rule; that's a state rule.
Yeah, we meet people every day who wants it at their house or whatever, but they may have one of the other people, and that's not possible. But anyway, so we're continuing to grow. We're continuing to do what we can for the community. That's number one, because right now, as you know, fiber and internet at homes is a very, very high priority for everyone, including us. We're working on it every day.
Absolutely, and the virtual learning is going to be becoming a new norm to some degree. We'll do everything that we can to get fiber, but at the same time, we need help from the state, with some grant funds that we can get that done. But it's very, very expensive. We wished everybody in the county had it, but that's not the case, and I don't know if that'll ever be the case, but maybe someday it will be.
One thing that we all know too is as we go from door to door, we're seeing a lot of people working from home.
That is correct, and that's picked up quite a bit. And it's like where I live, I don't have it either. I'd love to have a good broadband service where I live, but if the grants become available again, we plan on building northeast part of the county. That's our plan. We already have a plan put together. If it does become available, then we'll move forward. But we're always trying to think outside the box. It's not easy to think outside the box, and but all of our thinking right now is outside the box.
Yeah, very good. Well, I know we've got a meeting to go to here in just a minute, so we're going to wrap this thing up. Is there anything else you want to say? Because it has been you put in a lot of hours this week, and we've had a lot of help, and a lot of help from the public as well.
Yes, we have, and very, very positive comments. About the job that everybody's done, getting the power back on as quick as we did. We're not perfect, but we're going to do the best that we can to restore power, water, gas, or telecommunications. But we do appreciate the customers being patient with us. Some stayed out longer than others, but, it was everything that we had to get done before we ever got to you, because if we come over at your place and put up something, if we don't have everything up getting to you, it's not going to do any good. So, again, I do appreciate the customers being patient with us, and if you still got problems or anything like that, please let us know.
Yep, we're available 24 hours a day, 433-1522. And we also want to remind everybody about Smart Hub. That's been a big help during this particular storm. And we're also seeing some serious help, I think, too, with outage management, being able to, people can see what the situation is a little bit.
Yeah, it worked well for us this past week. And, we got all of our numbers and how many outages and how much time, and which we've been able to do that, by tracing back a circuit or recloser or a fuse blowed or something like that. So, but the system held up very, very well. The board believes in replacing and upgrading infrastructure for all utilities. And if we haven't been doing that, it could be a lot worse than what we had at this time.
Very good. And with this going on, one of my last notes here is this might be a time where people want to get on budget billing. It helps a little bit, the peaks and the highs. We talked about the possible high bills coming up this month, and maybe next month, so that might be something you should consider. And if you're interested in that, you can come call 433-1522, talk to the customer service, and they can help you out with that. All right, Britt, thank you very much.
Thank you, Don.
We've had our CEO, General Manager Britt Dye here with us today on the Breakfast Club Newsmakers on WEKR and WYTM. I'm Don Counts. We'll see you back in here next month.